Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sync Up Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things OneDrive. OneDrive is the home for all of the files that you care about most, and we are here to take you behind the scenes to get the insights and the knowledge to make your experience and your users' experiences better. My name is Stephen Rice. I'm a principal product manager on the OneDrive team, and I am joined by my fellow OneDrive aficionado and friend, Arvind Mishra.
Thanks, Stephen. Hey, everybody. My name is Arvind Mishra, and I'm also a principal product manager on the OneDrive team. Today, we have an awesome set of discussions and topics, including deep dives on our new OneDrive home experience, our meetings and people views, and also something that we probably do a million times a day. We're going to hear about the new and improved simplified sharing experience that we have. And so joining us today, we have Laisha Bansali and Isen Cherrier. We are so lucky to have both of you today. Laisha, you first. Where are you coming from?
I'm tuning in from Seattle. I am a senior product manager on our OneDrive web product and super excited to share all of the latest upcoming features with all of you.
Oh, can't wait to hear. Isen, what about you?
Also tuning in from Seattle, and I am a senior product manager on the OneDrive team. And today we'll announce a lot of the new improvements that we're making to the sharing experience across your favorite Microsoft 365 applications.
I am so happy we've got the experts, the people who build the product, design what we're going to build. We are going to have a great discussion today.
Woohoo!
All right. So before we kind of get into the meat of our discussion, the kind of interesting things that you're all here for, we like to have a little bit of fun. Sometimes we talk about serious things. Sometimes we talk about fun things. Today, I wanted to ask all of you, what is a new food that you tried recently and what did you think? Arvind, let's start with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll say there's not something that I tried recently, but it's something that I don't really try that often. And I will say I was in New Orleans recently. And when I was there, we went to this place called the Absinthe Bar. And absinthe is not something that I would normally drink. And we happened to partake in it. And I realized that it is something that you have to have an acquired taste for. And I don't have that taste.
You were talking about New Orleans, and I was going to get really excited because, trying out traditional Louisiana cuisine is on my to-do list, and you went a completely different direction from that. So never mind.
I will say we love New Orleans cuisine. And me and my wife, when we have our anniversary every year, we go to New Orleans because we like the cuisine so much. You get a little something from almost every culture: French, Southern, Caribbean. It's all there. So good things to say about it.
Isen, what about you? What is a recent food you've tried?
Yeah, so actually, I'm probably now influenced and biased by Arvind's story, but I just remember that over the weekend, I tried amazing brunch at Fats in Central District. So they have fried chicken, and they're specialized in fat chicken and waffle. I tried this honey glazed butter biscuit fried chicken sandwich, and it was the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. And it was all those tasty spices and savory flavors that just all goes perfectly together, sweet and savory. So strongly recommend.
Oh my gosh, I'm wishing I hadn't skipped lunch. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. Laisha, what about you?
I recently tried this Korean dish called japchae. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's from this local restaurant here in Fremont called Maiden House. It was just so good. I looked up what it actually means, and the literal translation is just mixed vegetables, which was interesting because the dish is actually made of sweet potato starchy noodles. So I don't know how all that makes sense, but it was extremely delicious. So that's my new try.
Cool. Stephen, what about you?
I'm not a big fish person generally, but we've been slowly branching out a little bit, and we got sushi the other week, and I've really only ever had California rolls and similar, but I tried my first, I don't remember what type of roll it was. It was some kind of salmon roll, I think it was called a Seattle roll, salmon, avocado, cream cheese, and didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed it, and would order it again. And so I'm not quite ready for this is where I don't even know the right terms. Is it nigiri where it's the full piece of sushi or fish on top? I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm doing more fish and raw fish, which is, I don't know, it's interesting and tasty.
I promise you'll get there, Stephen, at some point. You'll be big in Japan someday. I have a funny question for you, Isan. I know you have a cat, right?
I do not.
Oh, I thought you did have a cat. Oh my God, I thought you had a cat. I thought we literally had a conversation about a cat. Oh my gosh. No. Okay, well anyway, so cut that bit.
No, we're not cutting it. We're keeping that in 100%.
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing. I do have a funny question for you, Isan. Animals, as we know, can't talk. But if all animals could talk, which animal do you think would be the rudest animal to talk to?
Oh, absolutely. Squirrels.
Squirrels?
Yeah, they have to be.
Please tell us more. Why?
I don't know if you watched this Rick and Morty episode, but they have their own thing going on and they're probably planning
world domination.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure what I'm more disturbed by, Arvin, that like you came up with this question out of the blue, or that Asen had an answer like ready to go. Like there was no thought involved. We didn't cut and come back to it. Like rudest animal, squirrel, done.
Squirrels are rude. I guess. I think they're cute. Leisha, what about you? What is the rudest animal if it could talk?
I think pigeons. I don't know. I think that's like the first animal that came to my head, especially, and I could like just think of doing them, like doing.
Wait, how does it go?
I did not expect those questions. I'll say
Steven's like, this is going off the rails.
We're so far off, and the worst part is now I'm like what accent do pigeons speak in? Like for some reason I'm picturing like a very like New York heavy accent. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Steven, do you have an animal?
I've been thinking about it. And if you hear dogs in the background at any point while I'm talking, like I'm clearly a dog person. I kind of want to say cats just because I feel like cats, it's not that they're like fully rude, like they're not complete jerks, but they just don't care about anyone else. And I feel like that would very much come through. Like it's just like full narcissism, self-centered personality, which is, I don't know. I don't feel like that's particularly entertaining to talk to.
Cats would be big on Twitter, I guess. Then. All right. Well, I'll round us out. I would say my rudest animal, of course, is the obvious, which would be the honey badger, because honey badger just don't care. Enough of this nonsense. Let's go ahead and get to the topics of today. The first thing that we're going to talk about is our OneDrive Home deep dive. And Leisha, we're lucky to have you in studio talking to us to tell us everything about OneDrive Home. So starting out, tell us, what was the problem that we saw, in the existing OneDrive experience that led us on a journey to build this feature?
I think previously we've had like these, hierarchical model of like getting to files with like old and inflexible like lists and like grid views, which didn't really have that much like personality and weren't like super intuitive. And that's something that we wanted to change. We wanted to move away from those inflexible hierarchical models to something that's more like smart, where you can apply filters and they're like more expressive layouts and just like reimagine the representation of like content that you collaborate with. And this is kind of where like a lot of that thinking started from, where, OneDrive Home was originated from, and also like sort of moving away from OneDrive being the place just for files that you create to moving away from like that to something which is files that you access across like the M365 ecosystem. We know that our customers are not just OneDrive users, they're users of the entire M365 ecosystem. And we wanted a way for them to get back to those files quickly, no matter where they were stored. We wanted them to get back to them from our landing page experience. And that's kind of the story behind a lot of why OneDrive Home and where it came from.
Gotcha. So if I were to maybe summarize, number one, the traditional folder hierarchy was sort of long in the tooth. It wasn't a great way for how people think about their files that are important to them today. That's also not comparison, but it's also like combined with the fact that look, most of our work is like spread out across an entire ecosystem these days because we're collaborating, we're connected to people, we've got remote working, we've got hybrid working. People are like, collaboration is sort of the name of the game, right?
Totally.
Cool. So where did that lead us?
So now we do have a new home experience. Once you land on your OneDrive, you'll see a list of your recent files that you can get started with. These are files that you have accessed recently across the M365 ecosystem, and the whole idea behind this is that you can swiftly retrieve files that are truly important to you. And it does not matter where they reside in the organization. We want you to be able to quickly get back to them. As of today, this experience has been rolled out to customers. You can start accessing your recent files today. And we are also coming up with newer updates. We know AI has been a big buzz. And one of the things that we've heard from our customers is also be able to get back to popular content in your organization, along with recommendations where we want to show content that is truly important to you. So whether someone shared a file with you or they mentioned you, we will show you those files on top of your home experience so that you can quickly get back to them, take an action. And that's something that's coming up later this summer.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing that you've kind of described, Lesha, is just the way we're bringing in so many different parts of your, like I said, the Microsoft 365 ecosystem and bringing that into OneDrive, things like Teams, email, all places where you get work done. And now OneDrive is, taking the clue from those signals, like having your meeting files show up is just awesome. This is where I want to go deep on the kind of nerdy product management type stuff. When we think about OneDrive Home, what were the key metrics as a team that we were looking at to help us understand is this experience achieving what we want it to achieve for people?
So overall, as a team, I think we're trying to go after these two really key metrics. One is, how quickly can we get you to your files? And the whole idea there is that we don't want you to come spend hours and hours looking for your files. We want you to come get to your files and just quickly get out of the way. And then the other one is we've seen immense amount of increase in collaboration across organizations, through hybrid work or just through sheer tools that are available right now that help you in these collaboration setups. So these are two key metrics that we're tracking across the team. One of them is how quickly you get back to files, which is time to file. And then the second one is, what are your interactions with shared content and non-personal files? Because those are improvements that we're making. So with Home already, the version that we've released, we've seen a remarkable improvement of about 4.6% increase in number of users who navigate to OneDrive and open a file in less than 15 seconds. And what's even more impressive is that over 50% of files opened from Home are accessed within just less than 10 seconds, as compared to our previous landing experience, which was My Files, where we saw only 32% of those files being accessed under 10 seconds.
That is awesome. The other thing I really enjoy about this as well, it's a secondary point, I think, in a lot of ways of the work we're doing with OneDrive Home. But just the underlining and importance of performance to OneDrive, making the experience as fast and easy as possible, not just in terms of, finding things in the UI, but how fast it loads, how responsive it is. When we start talking about 15 seconds or 10 seconds less, that extra 500 milliseconds of load time starts to actually make a pretty big difference. And I know the team's invested massively in performance just to make sure that things move faster, run faster. You can find your files quickly.
Just another stat that I'll mention, which is collaboration with non-personal and shared files. Earlier, our landing experience was my files, but now with Home, you can not just access files that live in your OneDrive, but also like files that Arvind shared a file with me and I open that. Now I can also find that in my OneDrive Home. So we've seen a 9% increase in users interacting with shared content already, which is huge because like one of our goals for OneDrive is also to facilitate and like improve collaboration. And I think that's a place where like OneDrive Home also plays a key role in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other things people should be kind of looking forward to as far as OneDrive Home goes, kind of in the coming months and quarters and so on?
There are a couple of new updates that are coming. We're doing a brand new visual refresh that won't just affect Home, but like our entire product. And obviously with like Home being our landing experience, you will see that like front and center. We're also bringing AI-powered file recommendations, and we call that the For You section, which is personalized to you based on your collaboration with other people in your organization. And then since we know that there are like, various number of files that you see in your recent list, we also want to give you the control to easily find those files. So we're bringing in like new ways to filter by keyword so that, you can just quickly get back to those files even in your recent list.
I love the combination of the recent files combined with the AI recommendations. I mean, it's kind of like between the two, I think I'm, more on top of my stuff these days than I ever have been before. Laisha, switching gears for a second, I spend a ridiculous amount of time in meetings and I interact with a ton of people like every day. So like, what is OneDrive doing to make my life better at this point? Please tell me we're doing something.
We're definitely doing something, and
okay, good.
It's a great segue into two new views that we're building, which is the people and the meetings view. One thing that we've noticed through customer research is that users have like different ways of finding files, especially their collaborative content. In the past, we've had this like static list of shared files where we've shown you everything that's shared across the ecosystem in this one list. But it's really hard for users to remember the context behind why that sharing happened. So the two views that we're bringing are people and meetings view. The first one, which is people view, it helps you get back to all the files that everyone in your organization has ever shared with you, and it's grouped by those people. And then the meetings view, which is I'm sure you've like encountered where you've scrolled through like your meeting chat multiple times trying to find that like one
like all the time
trying to find that file. And so what we've done is we've shown you all your meetings that a file has ever been collaborated on, and whether it's in your email or meeting invite or like chat or even like the meeting recording once the meeting is over, and we've grouped them all and like shown all of those files under that like meeting name so that you can quickly get back to them.
That's awesome. Just for some of the folks to really understand the value of what we're building here, talk to me about like the people view just for a second here. So when I access the people node, I click on it. What do I see? Is it just a global address book, or is it what am I seeing that like at that point?
I'm glad you asked that question because we do want to make that very clear to customers that it's not like a global address book. Like you'd often remember that like, Stephen shared a file with me, but I don't know what it's called. Like it might be called OneDrive OKRs or like, our marketing proposal. But I know that Stephen shared it with me. And one of the things that we wanted to make really easy for users is that if you just remember like one specific detail about that file, we want to be able to allow users to get back to that super quickly. And like a person is someone you often remember while you're collaborating with them. And this is exactly where the people view comes in, where, I can just go quickly look for Stephen and then see all the files that he and I have ever collaborated on and then just quickly get back to it. So the list will show you all the people that you've ever collaborated with on files. And under that person, you'll find all of those files.
Coolness. And then if I work with Steven, like I do all the time, how can I make sure that I see his documents like front and center?
This is where our pinning feature comes in, because we know like there are few people that you collaborate with a lot more than the others. And what we're really allowing users to like do is personalize their view in a way where I can pin as many people as I want in the list, and they will always be on top of my people view list. That way I can quickly get back to them without having to scroll the list and like finding the person. And another cool thing that we've added with those is that once you do pin a person, we are showing you like file previews so that, you can also just look at the file preview and recognize whether that's the correct file you want to get back to without having to even open it. So we're like adding that extra level of visual so that you really, really are sure of the file that you want to open.
I mean, I love how the product is now sort of working more how my brain works, which is like, like, is this document associated with a meeting or is it associated with a person? Just one thing before we press on, I want to talk to you a little bit about meetings for a second.
Yeah.
So meetings, we're not just showing a calendar view there, right? Like there's some sort of organization to it. Can you describe that for our audience?
Absolutely. So for meetings, what we've done is it's not a replacement for your calendar. That's totally not the intent here.
Thank God.
We're not building another calendar in OneDrive, but I think the whole idea there is like we'll only show you meetings where there has been at least some sort of file collaboration. And what we've done is we've divided the meetings in a way where we know that like users either want to catch up on meetings that have already happened in the past, and that's where the past meeting section comes in, and we have another section which is all of your upcoming meetings, and through research we found out that users mainly only look at meetings that are like 1 week ahead of them. So we're only showing you meetings that are a week in advance. That way, your meetings view is not crowded with like all of those recurring meetings that are set up for like months and months and like taking up all the space in your view. So we're only showing you meetings that are like 1 week out. That way you can prepare for those meetings, read up on like pre-read material, and just like be prepared before the meeting even starts.
That's awesome. So it's like all the documents, it's the videos of the recordings for the meetings so it's all there. Like everything that has anything to do with a meeting is there in that view, which is super useful.
One thing I'll add is the recurring meetings scenario where we know that like users often have like a bunch of meetings that are set up, on a yearly basis or a 6-month basis or a quarterly basis.
I wish it was a yearly basis. Like,
one thing that we've done is we've collected all of those files across those instances and group them, and like where you can find recordings from all of the instances in one place versus you having to go through, I don't actually remember which instance Arvind shared this file with me, so we're trying to solve for that. And like we have all of those meetings just show up no matter like what instance the file was shared in.
So everything from the series, particular meeting series is in one place. I love that. That is going to make my life so much better. So thank you for taking us through these exciting features. I mean, I think there's so much there. I think it's going to be, for me, it's going to be life-changing. Hopefully it is for our audience as well.
I hope too. And we're super excited to bring both of these views. They'll start rolling out in July, and we're hoping to have this in hands of all of our customers by the end of summer.
Laisha, I am so excited about the people and meetings feature because it's going to change the way I work. But like, tell me, how do these views and how does the home experience persist across the entire M365 ecosystem?
One thing that we've done with all of these views is that we know that customers like to use different apps in the M365 ecosystem to get back to their content. So what we're making sure is that all of these views that you see in OneDrive today will also show up in the Teams Files app. So you can get back to these views and your files through these views, not just from OneDrive, but also from Teams. And we also see that coming in other M365 apps over the next year.
Excellent.
That is awesome. All right, so let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Asen, you've been waiting patiently for your turn to kind of start talking about the simplified share dialogue. I'll just preface, like, I've worked in sharing for a very long time. In my time at Microsoft, so 9 years thus far, we've had, I would say, many small evolutions of the share dialogue over, especially in the enterprise world. This, I think, is one of the biggest changes to how sharing looks and feels in that entire time. So I'm really excited that we've got you, the PM behind it all, the brains, the hands that made it, if you will, some other cool metaphor. Like, I want to start the same way. Like, what caused us to start looking at redesigning the share dialogue?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you've been also in the sharing space for so long, Stephen. So you know how hard and complex the space is. And I think originally, like you said, we have always been data-driven and we've always wanted to hear from our customers. So I would say that that's probably the main factor of like what caused us to rethink and revamp this experience. We've definitely looked at an approach where we wanted to look at the main sharing pain points, but also better understand by gathering that customer feedback and collecting data, how people truly collaborate, and more specifically, how people share and work together with teammates that are internal to their organization or external to their organization. I think it's important that we first understand how our customers use this product. This also helps with like having us understand what right investment we should be making in making this a more intuitive experience across the whole Microsoft ecosystem. So for those who are not familiar, the shared dialogue actually appears over in 50 areas, different application all across Microsoft 365. And it's also used 800 million times every month. So we kind of have that pressure that we need to do this right? It's at the core of every task, of every collaboration task that people have to do. They go through that sharing experience and it has to be understandable and it has to be simple. So that's pretty much the why. So it's a pretty important experience that we do need to nail down and ensure that we're also not harming any customers. So we've been just really careful about how we roll out these changes.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I think that I especially feel is the share dialogue, like all parts of UI development and product development, is you go through that thing where you start with your core, the thing you've nailed, you've got a perfect experience, and then, oh, we should add this feature here. And oh, another customer wanted this feature. And you slowly just kind of start adding things on. And you can do all of the design work and thinking ahead of time. But each time you add on like one more feature, you're adding a little bit of complexity, a little bit of confusion. And then at some point you have to take that step back like we've done here and decide like, nope, let's take the full step back, rethink from the ground up, make sure all of those changes we've made get integrated and become consistent. And yeah, so why don't we start with like some of the specific pain points we were looking to solve with the new share dialogue?
Yeah, of course. So the main thing that we learn is that, in the current experience, links and permissions is still very much confusing. We've heard that a lot of things are also complicated, like sharing to someone that's external to your organization and ability to copy a link very quickly and easily, right? Like core sharing features that just aren't doing the job today. And overall, the sharing control feeling a little too overwhelming with too many options. So as part of that, I think what we've heard was that customers want a simple and intuitive sharing control And especially for those who are not familiar with the Microsoft product, something that is just as easy and as simple as possible. The other one was, like I mentioned, like easy way to share to internal and external coworkers, ability to quickly copy a link. And another one that's really interesting and that came through research was also seeing that extensive list of the people who have gained access to a file or a folder. We saw a lot of excitement when we released the shared with feature under the dialog, that tells you, who gained access. And so I think folks want a little bit more insights of who has gained access and the various ways that they've gained access, and an easier way to just essentially manage people's access or groups and links. So that's pretty much what we've heard.
Before we even start talking about the new pieces, let's get the question that every admin who is listening to this podcast right now has. So we're making changes to the UX. What about all my settings, my defaults, and the things I've customized? How will those things work in the new share dialog?
Yes, this is a very common question, Stephen, that you've probably received yourself. We absolutely want to respect the admin policies and settings. There's no change that's going to happen in there. And so, we wanted to reiterate that we deeply care, and that these new sharing improvements that we're looking at making and rolling out will continue respecting the organization's settings as they should be.
Yeah, I know that's exactly the message that admins want to hear. That is fantastic.
Let's talk about what we actually built. We've assured all the IT professionals out there and IT admins that we're not going to wreck their world. What is it that's going to make our end users' lives that much easier?
So the first piece that we're looking at is essentially simplifying this whole like sharing control dialog box that you probably use every day. We're going to address the feedback that we've heard on the current UI, but more importantly, we're also looking at hiding any complexities around links, around settings, and any information that might be distracting to our customers in achieving their goals. So essentially, we want to help people focus on their core sharing tasks, which might be a way that, you defined earlier, Arvin, and what makes sense to your brain is relating it to people you want to share with. And so really focusing on those people, how you want to share with them. And that's it, right? It's as simple as that.
So all I have to do is start putting people's names in and it just works automatically.
Exactly.
Excellent. That is a wonderfully less complex sharing dialogue. How do you reassure all the folks out there that are, maybe like a little set in their ways and they're like, no, I like the old, and I don't want the new. How are you going to bring them along?
Of course, the functionality will still remain. We're doing a lot of work to remove any redundancy and complexity in the UI, but these settings are still available. Many of the link settings will now be consolidated under a gear icon, such that if you need to select the right links or the right permissions for your needs, you can still do that. But we definitely have seen through data that people just want to share easily with others, and they share with their default. So as you can imagine, they just go with the simplest and the fastest approach. And so we just want to make that experience feel frictionless. One example that I can give you is with the copy link, right? We've heard a lot from customers that these are too many clicks, too many steps, and that could be solved in one click. And that's exactly what we want to do. We just want to save your time and have you be able to just like have your link copied to a clipboard in one click and paste it in your Teams chat or email as you need it. And that would be done with a quick confirmation toast, where you get a confirmation that your link has been successfully pasted. So that's how we've reduced that experience and made it easier. And again, if you wanted to modify these links and default settings, you can always go ahead and go in link settings the same way that you would do it today.
Yeah, I love this focus on, like, similar to kind of Lesha was talking about time to file and just helping users get to their stuff. It is just about how can we help users accomplish their tasks faster and more clearly than they've done before. And I love the reduction. The reduction on redundancy, which is not redundant in and of itself, but just like you said, like taking a lot of that UI, trimming out the excess pieces that are causing confusion or duplicated or redundant or the same, and making it simpler. One other scenario I know that we hear about a lot is that kind of external sharing scenario. It's very common for customers to have people in my organization as their default sharing link, which obviously doesn't work for people outside your organization. So how are we making external sharing easier while still maintaining that kind of security boundary and default that admins have today?
Yeah, so this is probably one of my favorite features just because it's been existing for the longest time and our customers don't know that we support external sharing today.
Hurts.
Yeah, which hurts a lot. And so I think it's just not discoverable enough. And we've realized that the current experience is just really hard to understand. It doesn't really have clear guidance. So if I can walk you through the steps, you would essentially you are required to go into link settings, select the right link type, which is the people you choose link type to share successfully externally. Otherwise, you get this unhelpful message that says that this link won't work for the people outside that the link won't work with people outside of your organization, right? Which doesn't...
And that's today's experience, right?
This is the experience. So we don't really give or provide any guidance in how to do it correctly. And instead, with this whole change, we just want to make it as easy as possible and have you just put the email address that you would like to share with, the people that you want to share with once again. And behind the scenes, we would detect that this is actually an external email address, and we would provide you this prompt instead to confirm that you want to share with these people that are currently outside of the organization. And if you confirm, then we just change that link type for you, and it just works, right? So as always, we'll make sure that this respects the admin intent. And if you are allowed to share externally, then we should just make it frictionless.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I'm going to take a quick detour for a moment. I feel like this connects very well, Lesha, with what you were kind of describing earlier. How do external users show up in that people view where you were talking about? Like, I use the new share dialog. I shared to Arvind at Contoso.com. Does OneDrive Home and the people view solve for that as well?
We're really excited to support external users as well in the people view. So even like people that have shared files outside your organization will show up in your people view, and you can just quickly search for that person and like find all the files that a person outside your organization has shared.
It's fantastic. It is amazing.
Brilliant.
Asen, you also mentioned the kind of new managed access experience as well. This one's even closer to home for me because we had a very poor managed access experience for a long time, and I'm really, really excited for this update. What are we doing?
Yeah, so once again, we're following pretty much the people mental model and making this a very intuitive, more usable experience by front-facing, the people that have gained access to your files and folders. It used to be link based, and now we're shifting it to people, and that's exactly the same reasoning, right? Like people look for who they shared with. They're going to be able to search for the individuals or the groups that they've shared with, and then we still support current and existing functionality. So if you wanted to drill down into links, you could. And we even give you a summary access of that individual and the various ways that they've gained access to your file. So it's a huge improvement. We've heard it from customers. They're so excited to see this. And yeah, definitely probably one of the best updates that we've made this year. So I'm really, really excited to see this one roll out.
That is awesome. So simplified shared dialogue, a new managed access experience, like making external sharing easier. I feel like I missed a couple of pieces that you've described, like
Copy link.
Yes. When does all of this become available?
Yeah, tons of amazing improvements, and they're all coming in this summer, July 2023. So you'll be able to get your hands on it very, very soon and play around with it. And we definitely want to hear your feedback. We've already started previewing it with certain customers, and I think everyone is very excited to see this.
Yeah, it is. It is an exciting update. Isen, I'm so glad that you and the team get a penny every time somebody uses this new dialogue. You guys are going to be swimming in it. I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding.
I'm trying to do the math. Like, what is 800 million times one penny?
This is a total like Office Space type scenario. It's like, you didn't carry the decimal.
I also want to specify where it'll be available because we do get that question a lot. But yes, the experience will be available in all of Microsoft 365 applications on web, desktop, and mobile in business. So starting July 2023.
Cannot wait.
Awesome. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. I want to thank you, Isen and Laisha, for joining us. Just so all the fans out there can follow you on your socials, where can people find you?
For me, people can find me on LinkedIn. My handle on LinkedIn is LESHABHANSALI. Just my first name, last name.
What about you, Isen?
Yes, people can find me on LinkedIn as well with my first name and last name, IHCENECHERIET. And I also have a Twitter handle, so you can look for @iCherrier, which is my last name, 1. iCherrier1. But yeah, thank you so much for having us. This was a lot of fun.
This has been fantastic. I always love when we get to talk product with the people who build the product because I feel like the insights we get is so much better. So yeah, if you want to learn more about OneDrive, get the latest and greatest, you can check out the blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog. We've actually got 2 new posts that have gone up or will go up this month on the blog for OneDrive. One talking about the kind of OneDrive home and visual refresh, and then the people view and the meetings view that I think was penned by you, right, Laisha?
Yep. It's coming up and we're excited to share that and see all the engagement on the blog post.
Definitely. If you want to find me, you can find me at LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/srice08. And Arvind, what about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me also on LinkedIn at /Arvind Mishra, 1. As always, we love hearing from you, our listeners, and you can reach out to us on Twitter at OneDrive. And if you've got questions for us, please tag it with #SyncUp. And you can also visit our page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/SyncUp.
Don't forget to subscribe to SyncUp wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy SyncUp, you find it useful or interesting, tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to get people engaged and help us grow the show. If you're curious about other Microsoft podcasts, check out aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. Thank you all for listening and have a great rest of the day. Ooh, we did it.
Yay!